So yeah, if
Do
you
you want
just
to
want
start?
to tell like your story about your track, how it started, and
Okay. Where do you want me to look that way or
you can look at
look at
me or
you?
the camera. It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
I'll go back and forth. But bought the house in 2001 and had a track previous to that obviously shut down because I moved here and had to get into the house and all this and that. So time went by and that track kind of fizzled out. And I had another opportunity to build another track away from here, about 20 minutes away, and that one went down. And then I said, well, I got 12 acres here, got to keep this thing going, So I came up with a sketch and grabbed my golf car and a drag and laid out a track with marking paint, and pretty soon I had a layout and started building jumps and getting clay in here. And so one day I'm gonna have big races here. I can guarantee it. That was my whole plan when the first shovel went into the ground. It was like, this is what I really want to happen. And after 13 years, it finally happened. I mean, we've been getting bigger all of our Saturdays, and two Saturday events that I have throughout the summer are absolutely huge. We even had Colt Howard here last summer. U.S. national champions. So
Wow.
make a track owner pretty darn proud. But no, the track's gone through several layout changes from the beginning. It was absolutely pure sand, because that's what we live in around here, is pure sand. And we just had big, giant motocross berm. It looked like a mini motocross track more than anything. And then we got the opportunity to put some clay on it for the first time, and that just changed everything. It's like, holy cow, now we're really going fast and holds up better and this and that. So we wound up putting 300 ton of clay on it with a whole completely new layout, and that's pretty much the way it's been. And we did that, I think, in 2017 or 18 or something like that. So it's basically been the same layout since then, with just minute changes, highlight changes, like around the Mexican jump and stuff like that. We'll throw more to it or less at it, or throw a little jump when you land and we have to jump again. Just little tricks like that, before a race when the people come. Then if they race here before, like, oh, that's something new, But I have actually been threatened before by other racers from Green Bay that said, if I suggested, next year I'm going to bulldoze it and start over, they said, you do that, we'll never come again. Don't you ever change this layout, So that's been permanently imprinted in my brain. So I'm happy with it if they're happy with it. That's less work that I have to do, And then doing it by yourself is tough to revamp an entire track that's almost an eighth mile long. So, but
So how long have you had this layout?
this layout right here has been probably, like I say, probably 2018 or 19, something like that. And then we put the crossover in this year. That was the biggest change we've really done in it, because I wanted to put a crossover in when we built it, because all my previous tracks had crossovers in them, And when I built this one, I had a hunch that I was going to get a whole bunch of new people that never did it before, and I was like, I'm not going to put a crossover in. The crossovers are for people that have raced before, And finally, after all these years, 13 years, I said, I'm doing it my way this time. I want to put a crossover in. And our first race this year with it, all the racers were happy. They said, we love crossovers, you did it right, And we've only had minute, head-ons and stuff like that. It all depends, But the keen races, they can see the other one coming and you get over it fine. But yeah, that's pretty much it, The crossover is the newest rendition to the track, besides resurfacing it, because it's built on a hill. Every time it rains, clay washes down the hill, so pretty much you're back down the sand, so we have to rebuild it again and rebuild it again. And that's kind of what we've been doing since, say, July, is trying to put everything back new on it again and trying different soils. Like topsoil is what we're trying this time. We'll find out tomorrow if it works.
So have you put a lot of topsoil on it, or just a little bit?
Just a little. We tilled it last night on that front straightaway after the timing bridge to the crossover, and that's going to be our test for tomorrow. And so far it looks like it's going to work.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, this track typically starts out smooth, and by the mains, it gets true off-road and rough. We will be going 2 to 3 seconds a lap slower in the main than we ever did, But I encourage everybody before the mains, walk the track. And we are going to fix a lot of it up. We do. We maintain it. When I see the holes blowing out, or a racer sees one blowing out and mentions it to me, I tell everybody, feel free, grab a rake and a shovel and go out there and do it. Nobody's going to yell at you, So we will keep on top of it. And then what we'll really do is, at this race, because of the traffic we're going to have, is at intermission after the second round is up, we're going to really focus on getting the track perfect for the mains, because that's when they go when the track gets really rough, the worst is in the mains, you know. So we want to make sure that's good, because two-wheel buggies usually, we'll run usually Sportsman A main first, and then rate the two-wheel buggy. And two-wheel buggy's got to have a decently smooth track. You know, they've got a lot of suspension now, but still, you know, you gotta. It's almost survival of the fittest. Who does not flip over is who's going to win. You know, and not the fastest car is not winning. Whoever TQ'd usually doesn't win the main.
Yeah, I know I've talked to a few people and mentioned that like first or second qualifiers usually when your fastest time.
Yep.
Because usually by the time you get to the main, it's like sand.
Yeah. Yep. Like I said, it becomes true off-road if you go to, especially you go to Crandon or Bark River for the real races, you know. They only groom a little bit of the spots. The rough stuff they leave alone, you know, and that's kind of like what we do. It's a heritage of true off-road. Look at the videos from all the pros, Kinwald and all them boys, Cliff Lett and all them guys from the 80s and 90s. They're throwing roosts and they're going over holes this deep with buggies that had no suspension. And that's what I always wanted when I built a track. I wanted that heritage. I don't ever want to convert to the hard pack, you know, like Wisconsin clay or these treated tracks overseas with canola oil, glue, whatever that is. I used to hear that Cherry Coke used to work, you know, and this and that. I said, I won't do that, you know. I want real soil, you know, real dirt is what we call it. And there's a lot of us out there that do that still. And most people that come here that haven't been here before love it because it's so unique, you know, it's different.
So where you have currently have mostly clay on the track?
Yeah.
So where did that clay come from?
That clay came from, there's a pit called Lindbergh. It's about 2.5, 3 miles away.
Is it a really big pit?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I drove past
You
that.
drove right past it. It'd be on your left-hand side coming to the crossroads. Yep. That's actually, matter of fact, when we, in 2015 or 16, when we put the 300 ton on it, 3 of my buddies worked there. Okay. So we got the clay for nothing, you know, and all the labor and all the trucks, and we had a cat skidster with tracks on it, and my buddy was a really good operator, and I told him what I wanted, and he created it. It was amazing, and we had just piles and piles, 300 ton of clay. Wow. These piles were 20 feet tall, you know, I mean, and multis of them, you know, yeah. So, but yeah, it's clay all over the track now, and with a little bit of topsoil for a test, you know. Mm-hmm. Topsoil has a little bit of clay in it, and typically topsoil has a history of holding moisture and repelling moisture, like in a rain. You know, it won't like totally saturate it and seep through. Of course, if you get one of those downpours, you know, but if you get a light rain, you might have a chance to save the track better if the sun comes back out instead of canceling your race, you know. So, you know, we'll see how she goes tomorrow.
So what year was your first race at this track?
Oh, 2013 it would have been, because well, depends on what you want to call a race, because in 2012, when it was built, I had 7 guys that all bought stadium trucks, and because that's all there was then. It was buggies and stadium trucks, pretty much. The four-wheel drive short courses weren't out, two wheels was, you know, but there wasn't really good four-wheel drive short courses yet. So we all bought stadium trucks, and what I would do is I made a start-finish line with just spray paint, and that didn't have no timing system then in 2012. I got that in 13. And I used to sit across the start-finish line in a lawn chair with a clipboard, a pen, and a stopwatch. And everybody would go for 2 laps. And we'd throw away your bad lap. And if you crash both laps, you're at the bottom of the list. You know, you don't get a takeover because there's no marshals, you know, and that. So once we did all that, figured out who was what, I had to put the fast guys in a heat. Say if there was 8 of them, I'm going to put 4 and 4 and 4, you know. And we'd have heat races, and then how you finish in the heat races would help even where you know what I mean. We'd figure it all out, you know, for where everybody would start in the mains and stuff like that. And we'd run 2 heats in a main with a clipboard and a stopwatch, you know, for the first year. And we got the timing system in 13, and then it was full on from there. So yeah, I'd have to say we built the track in April, May, June. I'm going to say July through October, the first year, we had organized races with no timing system, you know. And then 13, we got the timing system, and then it was like it is right now. And yeah, and we were doing live time at that time too, you know. But yeah.
So did you have the MyLaps then, back then, or what did you use for timing?
We used the TrackMate system.
Okay.
Yeah, we used in 2013 we got the TrackMate system.
Okay.
And we were the first ones around here, and it's still the same timing system. It's never given us any issues. You know, it's a wonderful system for what you get in the money, and you guys use it. Everybody uses it. I've never had problems with it with the sun. You know, where I've had to build a bridge over it. You know, like a V, like a house, or I would like almost call it a ridge vent. You know, something like that. I've never had that issue. It must be because of the way my trees are around here. I don't know, but I know Bark River has, and Iron Mountain used to have issues with the sun, and then when they put a roof peak over it, seemed to fix it. But interesting. But yeah, TrackMate has been the way to go because we can't obviously afford my laps. You know, I don't know who can, but
Yeah, I've looked at it a little bit. They're like, I think $4 to $5 grand for a full system.
well, according to Dirt Heaven, Jeff, the decoder box is like $8,500 now. And then there's another $2,500 in all the cables and all the everything else. Because they redid the decoder box, and Dirt Heaven them still use the old box. And every time that they have a race and you create the event and all that on Lifetime, there's an update that wants to be due. If you hit that update, they're done. And everybody that's using 3-wire transponders,
Okay, yeah.
no good no more. So don't, if you ever buy an old set like that, don't do the update. Ignore it. You know what I mean? You will.
Yeah.
You put yourself right out of business right now.
Wow.
So.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, I just found that out this spring. So. Yeah, very interesting. They got you in a way.
Yeah, make you buy the new expensive one.
And then you got to buy all the new. I think they're 2-wire transponders or something like that, but they're like $150. And I paid. My very first one, there's 2 of them in there. I had one in my truggy before, and that goes in the buggy now. But my very first one, that one I bought from Fisher at Dirt Heaven, and oh my God. I'm going to say 2013. And I gave him a $100 bill, and he handed me a piece of plastic with wires on it. You know?
Yeah.
And I thought that was crazy then. And now it's like, oh my gosh, they've gone up even more. And now if you do this and that, you got to pay this. Deter a lot of racers, but.
Yeah, I've looked them up a few times. There's actually a couple different versions.
Yep.
There's like a cheaper 2-wire, then there's like a super expensive one. And
Yep.
I'm not sure what's different about them.
Me, I don't know the technicalities either. I've never had a situation where someone had one of those black ones. They look just like that, but they're black and with a 2-wire. I've never seen someone come up to a place that runs my laps and say, hey, this don't work with this. I've never seen it yet, you know, so
Yeah.
maybe people must just know, you know, that if they had that, you know, going to Dirt Heaven, they're probably going to contact Dirt Heaven first and say, hey, will this work? And no, you know, absolutely not. You have to get one of the older ones.
I know the 3 wires are, when you go under time, it tells you your voltage that the receiver has. So I'm wondering if like the 2 wires don't do that, or if there's a possibility the 3-wire has something to do with like shutting the car down, if they can do that, if it's programmed.
Boy, yeah, that's a good question. I honestly don't know that. Yeah, I've never dug too deep in the transponder thing, you know. That's for the experts, man. That's for the computer guys. You should know that.
I never looked into it. I just
Yeah, no,
seen,
good point though.
I need this. I need to buy that, and it works. So that's what I've always done.
Right, right. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I never dug deep enough into it. You know, once you've had the TrackMate system for as long as I've had it, the only time I need my laps is when I go to Dirt Heaven or other place that I know uses them, like downstate. M66, they use them there too, which was kind of nice, you know. They've got a system from a track that went down, fortunately, because typically when you see those, as soon as they post it on Facebook, it's gone in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
You know, someone already owns it, you know. You got to be so quick on that and have the cash to do it, you know.
Yeah, because they're expensive.
Jesus.
But
Yeah,
once you use something like this, it's hard to go to like the My Laps
right,
or the TrackMate.
right. No, I know it. I know it.
Like this, I throw it anywhere in my car. It doesn't matter. Plug in, works every time.
Every time. Yep. You can rely on it. You know what I mean?
It's reliable. Whereas like the TrackMate, it's sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it decides to short wire itself.
Yeah.
And
See, now in my rigs, I mean, and the nice thing about 2-wheel drive is you can see where they're mounted. It's clearly right above the windshield, you know, and that is the absolute trick to these transponders so you can look down and see that red light because it's a laser. You know, on a wheeler, it's difficult. I've had guys get so ticked they just put them on the outside, and it works. You know, but that is the only issue. They're sensitive about that because it's got to be straight up. You know, and that's so. But for the most part, like I said, we've had seriously good luck. I mean, very, very seldom have we had someone, hey, you're not picking up. Well, look at their truck closer and you got a big decal or, you know, something's over that, so we got to get that figured out. Or some guys will just get scissors out or whatever, cut their whole windshield out right then and there because they want to race. Like, okay, that's cool too, you know. But
Yeah, I put all mine on the outside.
do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if it works, it works. You know, I mean, I've seen them drag on the ground before from people, and they still work. So
Yeah,
you know,
I've seen a few times they drag on the ground or
Yep.
something, but they still pick up. So.
they still pick up. They got a good coating on them. The guy that builds them does a good job, and he does it right out of his house too. You know, I don't know if you've ever called there, but you call him, and he does it right out of his garage. You know, so he'll answer the phone and talk to you. You know, he's really, really a nice guy. Yeah.
Not like a big company or anything?
No, heck no, it's a side job for him. Yeah, yeah. Well, now he probably does it for a living because a lot of people bought these things over the, you figure 50 states, man, there's how many per state people bought, you know?
Yeah.
That's a lot, you know?
And that's not including other countries.
Right.
I'm sure other countries use it
Right,
too.
right. Just go county by county, town by town, how many tracks, you know? And they're all using TrackMate because nobody can afford the big stuff except for the rich people, you know?
Yeah.
But,
Actually, the MyLapse is based in Fox Valley.
Yep.
Which is like an hour and a half from me.
yep.
So that's not too far away.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And they use that all around the world.
It's the best, you know?
Yeah, where's TrackMate based in?
TrackMate is in Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's outside of Toronto or something like that. Because it was funny one time, because he has a really good, I don't know if you've been on their website around when if you go to order transponders, because 10 come with the kit when you buy it, and then he has a deal on the website, 10 for $250. All right, so what I usually do is to keep my stock rotated at the end of the season like this, if I got some guys that want to buy them, I'll sell them for 40 or 50 bucks a piece, right? And I'll take that money, get 10 more, replenish my stock. That way I always have new ones, you know, and stuff like that. And then at the end of the year, divvy them out. So you keep that cycle going. And that's what I told all the other track owners to do too. And they're like, oh my God, yeah, it works. Because you get guys running 4 classes, you know, you can cut them a pretty good break, and still, you're never going to profit off it. But all you want to do is get your transponders back for the house. You know what I mean? Just keep the house transponders in stock, ready to go, so people that don't have them can get them. You know, and that's the easiest way I found. Sell them to your racers, and then they pay for the new ones. Basically,
You got any right now?
I have 1 left right now. Why do you need some?
I'll take one.
It's right. Oh, we'll get it when we're
Yeah,
done
we'll-
here. But yeah,
yeah.
it's sitting right there.
So, yeah, because I got 2. Because actually one short circuit I was in during a main.
Oh.
Yeah, it was actually the only main I couldn't finish from the season.
Typically that happens on the positive wire where it goes into the wire that goes into the transponder. I've seen that before where it can break right there.
Yeah,
So you
they
just
wiggle
take-
right apart, yeah.
Yep. Take a brand new number 11 blade and you cut that protective surface out of there. You can get in there and unsolder it, solder it back up. Jesse does it all the time because we get people pulling on the wires, you know, on some of the original ones, you know, and that. But I had one a couple years ago on Buggy do that too, and Jesse fixed that one too. But yeah, you can typically cut it open, heat it up, get rid of the old junk and solder it back up and put silicone or something like that, shoe glue, you know, whatever, and they keep working.
Yeah, I put hot glue on one I had to fix, and it really lasted quite a while. Till the wire eventually broke again, but I don't know if they're just using the wrong wire, but...
You know, it's like anything with that. Maybe it should never be fixed in the first place. You know, I mean, pitch it, you know, or if like maybe on a club night, you know, like my Wednesday nights, I might keep a spare like that. But even I'd never give it to somebody on a big Saturday race, you know, you're TQing and all of a sudden it doesn't read your last 5 laps. Nice, you know.
Yeah.
Who's not going to be happy, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, typically if they goof up like that, screw that, I'm putting a brand new one in, you know, that way I know it's good.
The wires are so small, though.
They should have something around them, like a small, I'm going to say the word loom, you know what I mean? Like a wire loom, something, a sheath that is protective, where you can grab it and not worry about that. It's protected inside there, you know.
A lot like the MyLaps have that.
Yeah,
Or
yes.
you can yank and those
Yep.
and they're fine.
Yep, yep. And it's nice, those wires too. The copper in them is so nice. You can bend them. Like once you've mounted on your on your servo, you can like hold it down so it doesn't wiggle off the Velcro, and then just drive it around your speed control right to where you plug it in, and then go like that, and it stays there. You know what I mean? It doesn't go bling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those ones want to do. So yeah, I like that about the MyLaps for sure.
How have RCs changed and how racing's changed since you started?
Cool.
Now?
Actually, well, when '94 was when I bought my first truck, and it was a stadium truck, because that's the one I chose. And they were obviously all rear motor then, buggies also.
So
And
when you say rear motor, what does that mean?
rear motor means the motor here is a mid motor. It's ahead of the rear axle.
Okay.
Back then, this was turned around. Basically, the motor was on this side, and the spur gear was back here behind the axle.
Like a Bandit kind of?
Yep.
Or a Slash?
Just like a Bandit or a Slash, exactly. Everything was rear motor then, you know, and mid motor wasn't even coming into play yet. So everything then was a rear motor, and the battery was in line with the chassis instead of crossways, and the batteries were stick packs, and that was part of the ballast. You know what I mean? Without that, the truck wouldn't handle right, because when we ran those forever with NiCads and then Ni-metals, then we ran the same trucks when lithiums came out, and we got it was funny, we had a dozen stadium trucks here when in. I called everybody and said, hey, all our batteries are here. We got our first lithiums. And we charged them all up. We went down there, and we were we were going over backwards from wheelies because of the speed and the power. Once we got that figured out and turned it down, we couldn't keep them under control. We're like, what is going on here? So I was like, feel how light these things are? So we put them on a gram scale. It's like, oh my God, dude, we got to add like 200 grams to get it even back to what that was. So that was the biggest thing. You know, without that ballast, they handled like horrible. You know, it was bad. You know, so that was a learning curve there. Is going to lithiums, and then it just smoked our trannies and our differentials way sooner. So we had to really learn to turn the power down or go from 7.5s to 8.5s or 9.5s or something like that. You know.
So when did you get the lipos? What year was that?
I'm gonna say 2014. 2014, we were using, as a matter of fact, I'm going to call him my buddy only because I knew him from ordering batteries from him, but his name was Jeff Smith, and he had the company that's still going today, I believe, called Pro Match Batteries. He was from Iron Mountain, and then east of here, he was friends with hobby shop owner Casey Brake in St. Ignace, and a friend of mine, Joel Wiggins. He was good friends with them guys. Joel's from Pickford. These guys I raced with when I first started, and they told me about him and said, this guy does the best batteries in the world, you know. And so I called him up and got the lithiums from him, and like I said, that would have been in 2014. And it was funny. I mean, imagine 4 stadium trucks going down my backstretch in complete wheelies side by side, not even trying to do it. You know, we're all getting on the gas at the same time, and they all go wing, and all the way down to Daytona, you had to let off to set it down and turn. Because your rear motor, you know, with all that new power, it was just so stupid to get them up in the air, you know.
So when did they start coming out with mid motor?
2014, pretty much, was the 1.0 Losis. The buggy come out first, and the stadium shortly after, the way it always was. And they were aluminum chassis compared to the resin, you know, or the graphite, carbon fiber, whatever you want to call it. That was the first aluminum chassis, rear motor, with the option to build it as a mid motor. And I watched that happen, and I didn't care for those versions because they more catered to the high bite carpet and clay guys. And some of my buddies bought them anyway, and we could never get them to work out here unless you put longer shock eyelets on them to get some droop. You know what I mean? So they actually, their arms were actually like this when they were fully extended. Well, on outdoor tracks that get rough, if it's like that, you're going to be you know, doing
Yeah.
everything but going forward and, you know, having fun. So, so I waited till the 2.0 came out, and that was 2015. And I built my 2.0 stadium truck Losi as a rear motor, knowing that the mid motor was in the box. But it was kind of, I was being hard-headed about it because I didn't like the change that I could see coming. And so I ran it for a year like that, rear motor, and did very well with it, better than I'd ever done with my previous trucks. It was that good, you know. And then summer came to an end. I went indoor and to dirt heaven, high bite clay. And I went indoor and did real well, like for the first couple months with it. And then Associated released the B5 and then the T5M, the first real mid motors. And I got smoked by like 3 guys from dirt heaven that bought them, because they could just turn so much better, and they just did everything better. It's like, holy cow. So I still, we didn't have any really cold weather yet, even though I was indoor. It was one of those warm summers like we're having now. So I said, all right, I got an idea. I set up the timing system. It was a regular Wednesday night here, had some people here, and I ran 10 laps with my stadium truck with rear motor, my 2.0. And we saved all those laps, came right up here, I had everything ready. I totally changed it into a mid motor, and it took 45 minutes, and I was back down there. My opening lap, I was 0.999 seconds a lap faster. That's a second a lap faster, first time out. That's a mile. And then all my buddies that were out there with the same trucks that we've had, rear motor, triple XTs and stuff like that, and Associated T4.2s. In the main, I started in the back on purpose. I wanted to see. And I passed every single truck in the corners, because you could just see how a rear motor corners. You come into the corner hard, you usually hit the brake hard, get it to slide around and punch it on the way out, because they were a point and shoot kind of truck. You know, they didn't carve corners because they didn't have weight on the front. They would always push on. They'd have an on power push. You know, where this mid motor, I could just watch their on power push and just carve a corner underneath them and just go get the next guy. Go get the next guy. That's where that second a lap showed up. I could make them come to me. You know what I mean? Just by cornering speed. And it's like, I'm sold. So I went back to dirt heaven, and I was able to podium on that one against the T5s, you know, but they could still turn better than the Losi did. But that's when the mid motor changed, and I had to admit it, and here we are, you know. And now they're kind of going the other way. They're like, the T7 gets released, and buggy shocks, buggy towers. Now it's not a thing I'm a fan of, but it is what's going on in today's world, so there's nothing you can do about it. So we'll be keeping these babies for a long time, because they do indoor very well and outdoor even better, you know. So parts are readily available. They always will be. So it's a truck that'll never go out of style, you know, no matter what they come out with. The only thing I would hope for is if the new T7 came out, it would really be neat if they came out with the T7 RD, real dirt truck. Give it the droop we need. Take the buggy shocks off it and put these on there. Put the big bore there. I mean, come out with 14 millimeter. I want to see 14s. 13s are cool. Let's get 14s. Suspension is everything with these things, especially in two-wheel drive. Suspension is, in wheeler especially. Four-wheel drive wheeler, your suspension has to be so perfect because of all the gyro and the twist those crazy things do. They have to be able to resist that, and the only way they're going to resist that is get better shocks.
Oh, yeah.
Bigger, I mean, put 8-scale shocks on them. You know, I don't care, you know.
Yeah.
But look what happens when they finally started putting big bore shocks on four-wheel drive short course trucks. They just got faster and faster and more stable, you know. I mean, look at the old 2.0. Yeah, 2.0 Losi four-wheel drive short course truck. It had 12 millimeter shocks on it, you know. And it's like, that's too tiny, you know. That's a big, heavy truck with a lot of gyro also. You got to be able to suspend these things proper, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they tumble too much. They're, you know, they obviously need more suspension, in my opinion. That's all, you know. But yeah.
So both of your cars have the big bore?
Yes. I put these on this truck because it was a 6.2 when it was born, and I've done everything to it to update it to a 6.4 minus the chassis, which I don't really need, because they moved all the electronics more forward, and I don't want that, you know, so it's happy that way. And I just got this. This is a 6.4 buggy with the big bores. That's primarily why I wanted it, because it had the big bores, because I knew how these improved my truck's handling. So, and that is the best handling buggy I've had to date. That thing is blowing my mind at how almost out of the box setup, and it's just awesome, you know, everywhere. It's good at your track, it's good here, it's good at dirt heaven, it was good downstate. It's really, really good, and it really likes these tires. Everything so far loves these tires for this track. If you don't have these at this track, you're gonna wish you did. I can promise you that.
Are those the tires you're talking about?
Yep, the new paddle pins. Yep, this is what makes them, is the paddles in the middle and the size of the step pins, you know.
Wow.
I mean, like I said, it's like running on carpet on my track. It's just absolutely crazy. You can just turn the power up, and you just come into the corner, let off just for a brief second, and I mean, smash it. Ty, you will love it. The truck will never get wiggly. I put these tires on a Wednesday night on all my buddies' stadiums, because I was the first one to have them, and they get around the track like you've never seen them, because they don't ever have to let off. You know, just your typical come into the corner and not roll it on or feather it, smash it. I mean, smash the throttle, and you have to loosen your slipper clutch up, because they're going to want to wheelie over backwards, you know. Yeah, that's how good a traction they have. Buggy, too. My buggy was wheeling over backwards. And loosen the slipper.
Reminds me of like the Tamiya's, the older style buggies. They
Yep.
have very similar, kind of like the
Oh, yeah. Yep.
like Toy Story style tires.
Yep.
Really cool.
Yep. Or like, if you ever seen a Losi Junior 2.
I probably have.
Yep, they had the step pins, but they're really spaced far apart, you know, kind of like the Tamayas and stuff like that. And that, but no, this is the best tire I've seen since the Losi step pin back in the '90s. And this is exciting right here. Jason Rowena did good on this one, you know, finally, because all we had was hole shots, goosebumps, and sprinters. That's basically all we've had for stadium trucks, and now we've got choices again. It's great, you know. And Carver's on the front. Can't go wrong with them, you know. So.
Do you still have any of your original ones you raced in the 80s or 90s?
Nope. No, I really wish I did. It's funny, because after I started racing and doing better and everything like that, anytime I would want to, even before I'd ever want to sell one of my trucks or buggies, I'd always have someone that said, if you ever want these, you know, sell these things, I get first dibs. So I've never had a problem selling them, you know. And yeah, my 2.0 Losi, the one that had a built rear motor and turned it mid motor, I sold that to Brad Brennan. He wanted it so bad. I mean, so bad. And when I switched all to Associated, it was just hanging on the shelf over there, hanging on the shelf. I would dust it off every now and then, just hold it, going, oh my God, I think it had 900 races on it and 880 wins or something like that.
Wow.
You know, I mean, it was just a King Daddy outdoor, you know. And then I never wanted to get rid of it. But Brad has it, but I still have the body off it anyway. So I don't know what Brad ever did with it.
So what brand did you run when you first started out?
Losi.
Losi?
Yep. A buddy of mine showed me that this stuff was available. He had a stack of RC car magazines that were like this tall. I didn't even know they had a magazine, right? So I go over his garage one day and like, what you got there? I'm like, I've wanted RC all my life, you know, and I just never, parents didn't kind of care for it or whatever, you know. It's too expensive, this and that, blah, 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 you know. So I started looking through his magazine and I'm like, what is this black pipe? I'm like, they race these things. He goes, oh, World Championship. I'm like, there's factory drivers. I'm like, get out of here. Took a few books home for the weekend. Understood what Losi and Associated was and what Traxxas was, because that was basically it, you know. And Traxxas wasn't really doing a whole lot towards the racing thing. They did a little bit, but Losi and Associated was just it. So go back to my buddies and I said, what are you going to get? He said, I'm going with Associated. He goes, I suggest you get that new Losi truck. They just came out with it. It was a double X TCR. And we both ordered them that day. They showed up from Tower Hobby, was our first order, and we built them and built the track in his backyard. And that was in September, and we ran it until it got too cold, and then he told me about the club in town. I joined that club and then started racing from there. But Losi was my very first one, and that's why, because my buddy turned me onto it.
What year was that?
That was 94.
94.
1994. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. 30 years later. Associated.
Still run it?
Yep.
Have you ever ran any Tamiyas or any other brand?
Nope.
Or always stuck with Associated?
Always kits. Yep. Yep. Yeah, because as soon as I got into it, I instantly started racing, you know, and then traveling. And the UP then there was a track in Newberry, there was a track in St. Ignace, there was a track in Echo Bay, Canada. We'd go across the International Bridge, race there, and that's what everybody had, you know, because like I said, then there was only buggies in stadiums. That's all there was. So kits were $180, you know, way back then. It was so beautiful, you know. So getting into them was really cheap, you know. But, yep. Then I switched to Associated in 2017 is what it was when the T6.1 came out, and then the B6.1 buggy. So I switched because Losi was doing some weird things, no parts, no this, no that, no new models. I'm like, well, what the heck? And then I saw the new T6.1, you know, because Associated makes them clear first, you know, and then they put them out to the public. And as soon as I saw that and I saw what adjustments were on there, I'm like, oh, that's mine. I will be switching, boys. And I did, and I don't regret it, because I've always admired Associated's attention to detail of customer service, parts support, and their team. Their team is king to them, you know, and nobody's kept up with the times better than that. Now, there was a time where I think Losi was making more competitive products than Associated, you know, in like the say T.3 and 4 years, where Losi's 22 series was really, they were top notch, you know, they were better quality, better performing on the track and this and that. And then as soon as the 6.1 was released, I said, this is the game changer right here. This is the one. And I was right, because they, no matter, well, Losi just came out with a new stadium truck, but it's got buggy shocks and towers on it, so it's not a stadium truck, you know.
Yeah, you want to pause 1 second?
Certainly.
Battery just died. All right, we should be good now.
Okay.
Where were we?
We were talking about
Oh yeah, so
what brand,
so
I guess.
you started out with Losi.
Yep.
So when did you? How long did you run Losi for?
94 until 2017, so
That's
long time.
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, that was it for me. Losi was everything. You know, I mean, I loved the company. I loved once I found out about the history of the company and this and that, and I was always a Kinwald fan and this and that. But like I said, I always kept Associated right here. You know, because you could always see things they're doing. It's like, boy, if they would just do this and this, we wouldn't have a chance against their stuff, you know, and you could always tell that they were just, at the pro level, they were almost untouchable, you know. I mean, Associated won, look at their buggy, won millions of championships. Their stadium truck still got the most championships, and Losi was up and down with that just because of the team and stuff, you know. They were, one minute they're all running, hey, Steve. Good. We're having a podcast right here. So sit tight for a second. Yeah, you're good. But they would bounce around back and forth. You know, whoever paid the most, they'd jump ship and go to Associated, go back to Losi, this and that. So they were going back and forth like that, you know. And I just got flustered. I forgot.
So how long did Losi kind of stay on top for? Until they got, I'm assuming until KO show or Associated took over.
I'm going to have to go to, that would have been probably 2013 or 14, when Associated came out with the B5M and the T5M, the mid-motor stuff. That's when Associated really took over and has not let off, and that's when Associated went down. Because after the 22 2.0, they came out with the 3.0. I bought one. It was a flop. It was better indoor than it was. They took all the droop out of it again, you know, after they had just had it. And then the 4.0 was basically the same way. And so Associated kept going up and Losi kept going down, down, down. That's right where they're at right now. So, I mean, they've got a lot of loyal faithfuls that have jumped ship, you know, because they can't get parts or there's no technology, there's no new nothing. They fire the team, you know. So, yeah.
So do you know when TLR kind of started getting into the racing game at all?
Yeah, that would have been, holy cow. I'm thinking 86, 87. Could have been earlier now. Could have been earlier than that.
Really?
Yeah, the gold tubs. Because the RC10T gold tub stadium truck was basically what they were forced to do because they came out with the Junior XT, or the Junior T, I think it was they called it. Losey's first attempt at a stadium truck, and it was a stadium truck that had real suspension. And then they came out with the LXT after that, and that really sealed the deal for Losey. That just put him right on top. And then when the double XTs came out, that was even better yet. And Associated really didn't answer until I think the T2 came out, and that would have been 94. And then the T4 and then 4.2 came out. And that's when they forced Losey to do something else different again, you know. It was just a game they played back and forth. Every time a Car Action magazine would come out, you'd like, all right, who's got the new truck, you know? And then a new truck would come out. And then the races would start. This new truck would win. Now Losey's going to come out with a new truck. The next issue, the Losey truck was winning, you know? So it was just a game back and forth, back and forth. It was funny.
If you ever released a new truck, everyone switched to that truck, and then they
Yep.
switched to the next one and the next one?
Yep. Yeah, it had better shocks on it. Got to get this one, you know, or whatever. It was just everybody jumped around. It was funny. And I always kept my Losey's, you know. I was so happy with them and doing well with them. It's like I just watched what the Associated guys were doing, you know. And I'm sure they were doing the same thing, you know. My buddy that got me into it, he had an Associated, and he beat me a couple times, but I got him more than he got me. And I bet he was wondering a couple times. He's like, let me see that stupid. He used to call him Lousy, Team Lousy, because he was an Associated guy, you know. I'd call him Associated and that. But yeah, he'd always look at it and like, yeah, I wish mine had this. And I'm like, I know, same thing. I look at your gold tub, or it wasn't a gold, it was a black tub then, but I just wasn't a fan of that aluminum tub chassis. It was weird to me. It looked like, I don't know, didn't look performance to me, but they did good. They did very good. They just needed better shocks.
Oh, yeah.
Holding up all that weight with a NiCad battery, you know, with puny little shocks on it, you know. But
So back in the 90s, what did you run for remotes? Was it Futaba back then?
as a matter of fact, can you grab that one right there? I kept that on purpose. That was my second radio. That is a Magnum. That's a Futaba. It's a Futaba Magnum Junior. And what made it a Junior was so cool. You open that door up,
Oh, wow.
and you could actually, you know, you had your steering trim and your throttle trim, which all we ever had on the radio previous to this. Only this one, you could adjust your EPA,
Okay.
you know, and that, so you could make the truck go slower or faster. It was cool. This was the first really, really good radio. And then the one before this was called the Magnum Sport. It didn't have all that fancy. You just had a knob here and a knob here, and one was for steering and one was for throttle trim, and that was what you lived with crystal radios, you know.
I
Had the
remember
chains
those.
crystals. Yep. Yeah, I used to have 68 and 72, and I'll bet you that one's one of them. 68.
68.
Yep, that was my favorite one. And you'd go to practice, and they'd have like a clothesline, and all the clothespins are up there. And we'd always look at work. Oh, shoot, someone's up there got 68. So you're looking at the driver stand and the guy, see who it is. If you couldn't tell who it was, you had to wait till he's done and walk down the stairs. What number you got? 68. Oh, cool, give it to me, you know. Give me that thing so I can put it on my antenna, because that's what you used to do is, that's what this is for.
Wow.
Yep. What you would do is when you went on the driver's stand, oops, you had to have that on there, clipped on just right. And there was a way to do it. Maybe we did it like this. I can't remember. So that an official or somebody walking by could tell what it was. You know, and that. Yeah. So that's how we did it.
Yeah, nowadays it's all whatever they use now. It's all
2.4.
Yeah, nowadays you don't have to worry about all the crystal and
Nothing.
interference.
Nope. Nope. Now, where did I put it?
That's a unique looking remote.
Now there. Old school to today. Yeah. I don't know if you've ever heard of KO Propo.
Nope.
I have been after this radio. In RC Car Action magazine, they'd always cover the pro races. It was like half the magazine was of the pros, and it was always great. And when they would show the racetracks, in the background, all the banners, the sponsor banners, I always saw KO Propo, and I saw it on some of the winners' cars and trucks, and I'm like, what is KO Propo? And I finally found out it's a radio company. So 93, 94, so I think in 96, I got my first KO radio, and this is my third one. I love it. Put that in your hand once. And the trigger is totally adjustable too for the size of your finger.
It's got some weight to it.
Everybody says it's top heavy. Well, it is until you grab the steering wheel. You know what I mean?
It feels nice.
It's unbelievable, man. This radio took me 2 years to get used to because it was so quick. And KO's, they call it the EX Next. And what that means is they say they have the fastest speed from steering wheel and throttle to the receiver than any other company, and they patented that feature, I guess. So, and it was hard for me to get used to, you know. But
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like I said, the trigger's adjustable. By loosening 2 screws, you can make it this wider. This here opens and closes, and it pivots. See, I got it turned a little bit sideways for when I hit the brake.
Wow, yeah.
Yep, and then you can loosen these 2 screws, and then the whole gizmo slides forward or back, you know, and then you pull this lever, this white piece slides off, you pull this lever, the steering wheel comes off.
Okay.
And that's how it comes in the box when you get it. You have to kind of slide that on, hit the lever, put the steering wheel on, boom, hit the lever, and there you are. So if you got a radio case for it, a custom one, you could take it apart. I don't like taking it apart, you know, because there's contacts there, you know.
So what year did you get that remote?
I got that 3 years ago.
3 years ago? And
Yep.
What year did you get your Futaba?
This one would have been 95.
95.
Yep. Yep, because I got into it in 94-ish, 95 I started racing, and I had to have this radio. Yep. That was the newest one. I think it was $70.
And what did the new one cost?
$590 with 2 receivers. The receivers are $140 a piece.
140 a piece.
But KL has deals like that where you can buy the radio with 1 receiver. You can buy it because they make servos too. You can buy it with a receiver and a servo. I wanted the one with 2 receivers, so boom, boom, you know. But yeah, I have a spare one, and that cost me 120. I think Fisher got me a deal for it. I had to have a backup just in case, you know.
So, back when you ran Crystal, did you run 2 classes before or after you switched to regular? So I got rid of the Crystal.
I always ran 2 classes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So when you ran those, did you switch out the crystals?
There was only certain times where I was able to keep the same one in, you know, where the guy and buggy didn't have that number, you know. But most of the time, that's all I had 2. I ran 68, I remember was stadium truck, and I think 72 was buggy.
So you just switched out the crystal between the remote?
In the radio. Yep. Yep. Yeah, it was right in the back. It had a little tab on it like that, you know, and flop it out, stick the new one in, and don't forget for stadium when I'm up, you know? Because it was bad if he did.
So how come you didn't leave the same crystal in the 2 receivers?
Because it was, I think somebody, it wasn't like I planned it that way. I think somebody had some crystals they were giving away. And it happened to be 2 of the same. I'm like, I'll take those for my buggy because I needed, when I got my first buggy, I was scrambling for this or that, you know, like a speed controller, motor, this, that. I didn't get everything brand new. So one guy had this, one guy had that. I'm pretty sure that's how that worked out. Just happened to be, he had a couple of them, I bought them from him, and away we go. I would have liked to keep them the same for sure.
It's changed a lot through the years.
Big time. Big time.
It's crazy. Like the racing scene's only been around for maybe 30-ish years, and how much they've changed throughout the years.
The electronics.
Oh yeah.
And I don't mean these. These have, which we knew, radios always got better. You could always see that. But what's happened with the electronics in the cars and batteries and motors is berserk. You know, I mean, how fast you can go and how fast beginners and intermediates can get out of control because of all that power, and they don't know about throttle EPA and expo and stuff like that. And man, you gotta you watch them out on the track sometimes, like you're not going anywhere, you know. If you just get over throwing 60-foot roost, let's throw 20-foot roosts instead, you know. You're probably gonna get around the track a little bit better and more smoother than that, you know. But watching the evolution of the electronics, speed controls are so much better. Your program boxes, you know. Now, say I want to turn some punch up or some down or whatever else you're doing, you know. It's so nice to plug it in there and boom, 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 you're done, you know. That's very nice, and they're very durable, you know. I like the Reedy stuff because I race a lot and I don't need problems, you know. And they've never let me down, ever, you know, never. You know, my buggy, the setup button got stuck a couple times where I had to blow it out with air and this and that, but that's the only time I've ever had an issue with them. Reedy motors are awesome. They use stainless steel bearings and nobody else does, so they last 4 times longer, you know. So you gotta oil them every once in a while, you know, do the pinion side and take the stator off and get in there and do it, but you know, I love the Reedy products. Very, very durable and good stuff.
I've mostly run hobby now on everything.
Yep.
I ran a little bit of Castle, but I found Castle tends to kind of, they have a lot of power, but they kind of tear themselves apart.
Yes, they do. And if you ever tried changing bearings in one of their motors, it's almost impossible.
Depends which one. Cause
yes.
The one I had is pretty easy.
Okay.
They just pop right out, but and I can imagine some other ones are a little more difficult.
Yep. The end bell, they use screws on the side of the can and little teeny ones that would strip out. They use like a 1.5 mil. It's like, what are you doing? You can't, you know, then you got to get the Dremel out.
Yep, I've stripped a couple of those out.
You know, and the Reedies, it's like they use real screws, good ones, and they don't have no problem, you know, getting them out. And the hardest part about any of these motors is putting them back together. The magnet is so strong, you know, and you're trying to put it in the stator side first and get that and not lose your shims and stuff, you know, and oh my gosh. Because I just did this one because it had a sound right before Anago. I was down practicing on the track here and I heard it. So I'm like, what the heck? So I took the pinion off and heard it. Still doing it. I took the damn thing apart and there was a rock in there. You know, I caught it in time. It didn't mess up the rotor. Now you can just see a couple of marks, you know, and I'm like, whoa, that's putting it back together. But at least I was able to lube all the both the bearings and everything, you know, so that was a good thing actually.
Oh, yeah.
And it was still like brand new in there. And that motor was new last winter. It's about a year old, coming up on a year old right now. And that was the motor that was in here for probably 3 years, maybe 4 years. But they're the same one. It's a Mach 4, Reedy Mach 4 9.5.
Nice. So how long did you run? I'm assuming you ran brushed back in the day?
Yep.
In the 90s?
Yep.
So how long did that last until they switched over to brushless?
2003. Yes. Yeah, because that's when I was racing at a track at Togo's sub shop up here. And everybody was running Nitro there. Nitro Stadium. They weren't running too much electric buggy. They were running, I think they were doing too many buggies then maybe. But they were running, remember the Trex's Rebo? Nitro? They had a huge class of those things. And I was either gonna buy a Nitro Stadium because a buddy of mine had 3 of them. And he called me one night, he goes, get up to Togo's, he goes, you're racing my Nitro tonight. I'm like, okay, and I got 2 seconds and I won the main with it. And I was like, man, do I get one of these or, because I had just bought a new RC Car Max magazine and it showed all the new Reedy brushless stuff and batteries. I'm like, ho, 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 ho. I'm like, so this 10 turn would be like this turn in brushed. And I was like, okay, let's get one. I went there and in the electric class, I was so much faster. They made me run with the Nitros and I was beating the Nitros. Then they put me in the Rebo. I would start in the back of the Rebos and win the Rebos. and these guys are flying. That's how fast Brush was when it first came out, you know.
Wow.
So yeah, that was funny. That was absolutely funny to watch happen.
I'm assuming Brush has gotten faster.
So much faster. I mean, and no maintenance. It's so nice. The cans are all sealed up. But yeah, I mean, as soon as you set it down on the track, you're just like, are you kidding me? You know. But it was such a linear power too. It was nice. It was smooth. It was very smooth power. But when you were wide open, make sure you're pointed right, because they just took off. You know, and that was the amazing part. And I mean, even towards the end of the straightaway, if you just mash, you could do another wheelie. You know, it's like, wow, that's pretty impressive right there.
Have you ever raced Nitro? Like, did you not just the one time?
I raced them for my buddies at my track I had up the road here. That one, there was probably 6 guys that came on Monday nights. That was my night then. And they had Nitro stadiums, and a couple of them said, Frank, you run this one tonight. And I'm like, okay. So I raced it several times on Monday nights, and then down at Togo's I did too. But no, I wanted to, but I went electric instead, you know. And now I want a Nitro stadium. I mean, it's back. It's Ignite is making that kit for them. It's a beautiful kit. They perform well on the new chassis, and that's pretty much what I'm gonna. I think that's gonna be my next move. It's gonna be that or a 4-wheel stadium.
I think Associated released their old model Nitro again.
Yep. And that's really, really, really cool. But the problem is, it's the old model. When you take this truck and put an Ignite kit on it, that old re-release will not be able to hang with it. You know, just because of suspension technology and everything like that. You know, they're mid-motor. Well, they are mid-motor gas trucks, but just the way the trannies are better, everything, man. You know, so it's gonna be hard to beat one of these with an Ignite kit on it, and an Adam Drake engine. You know.
I think it'd be really cool to bring back like the old Nitros and racing.
Yep. I want to do it. I want to see it come back. It's coming back all over the 50 states. You know, Adam Drake has the Stadium Truck Nationals he already had in June, 2nd annual. It's a huge success. I think like Pennsylvania or something like that. There's another guy promoting it. It's big there. It's big in Florida, and it's getting bigger all over the place. And like I said, that's probably going to be my next move, because the guys that are coming here tomorrow from downstate Lower Michigan, they are already pushing it. They don't have them yet, but they're pushing it. They want to create the class. I'm like, well, you guys do it, and I'll do it. You know, so that'll probably be my next move.
Yeah, I think about looking like an older wrestler Nitro. Get one of those just to mess around with. Or you can like get an X-ray and convert it to a Nitro.
Oh,
I run all X-ray.
Oh, yeah, nothing wrong with that. You know, X-ray is awesome. I love X-ray. I think, you know what I think X-ray is? If you took this truck right here and sent it to X-ray, the X-ray stadium truck is what would come out. You know what I mean? Because they're almost identical in every way, except the X-ray is just, how do you want to race it? It's so beautiful. Everything is awesome. You've been on their website?
Oh yeah.
Isn't that a first class, top notch website where you can make shit move? You know what I mean? That is cool. And what a top notch company.
Yeah, one thing they advertise quite a bit is luxury. Everything just, they got nice, fresh build, just beautiful. Like you don't even want to take it out of the track. You just want to shelf clean.
The plastic looks different.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it just looks like it's soft and smooth, but it's because the finish is so beautiful. You know, and all their aluminum hardware is top notch, and you get the different trannies with it, so you can run what we're running, or clay indoor high bite, or carpet. You know, everything is there. You know, and it's available. They have another, obviously, like Associated's part support is the best. Driver support is the best. You know. Customer support is the best.
Yeah, and I'm curious how far they'll get, because they've only been around since 2000.
I know it, but they made a huge hit.
Oh yeah.
You know,
a
huge hit.
They're pretty much taking over carpet.
Yep. Oh God, yeah. That, and you know, keep an eye on PR too. PR is making a very good stadium, and a buggy, and their four-wheel drive stuff is top notch. You know.
Okay, I took a PR and Associated, but side by side, they're very, very similar.
Yep.
I noticed the PR is cheaper, and you get more like metal upgrades.
Yes.
Like you get more like this stuff here.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
the metal back here.
Exactly. Yep. Yep. You do. You know it's coming stock on them. You know, pretty cool company. You know, the new stadium truck that's out. Man, it's got its own body too, and it's like really cool. It's because it's unique. It's different. It still looks like a stadium truck, but it's got a different base on it, which I like. And like I said, I like their plastic. I love their carbon fiber. I love they got big bore shocks. But another one, if you buy one, where are you going to get parts? You know.
Another thing with PR is their cost. Whereas like for me, for X-ray for one arm, it's $10 to $15.
Yep.
Depending which I get.
Yep.
Whereas PR, it's like $20 for all four. Which I mean, quality-wise, I can slam into a wall and most of the time it doesn't break.
Right.
Whereas like Associated, it's a little cheaper, not as strong, but still $20 for 4 arms or 2 arms, you know.
I'm with you there. Makes a difference, you know.
Yeah, you kind of pay for the higher quality, but at the same time, if you let's say starting out, I definitely go for the cheaper.
Oh yeah.
Because like if I slam a speed into a wall, it's minimum $40 or by the time you get arm, pin, and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yep.
Whereas like Associated, you hit a wall, break something, $10, $20 max right there.
You're not out nothing. Yep. Got it all in my parts box already. You know, because it's cheap to even keep in stock. You know what I mean? Everything comes in pairs. You know, $10 for a pair. Give me them. Front end parts. You know, all the spindles and all that stuff. And that stuff is amazingly strong. And I rarely broke one. You know, rarely. I broke one arm this year on this side and one arm this year on this side outdoor. One was just from a bad landing and it was all shaved off from running indoor so long. It was all burnt off down here on the bottom because we run such low ride height. So that one was going to break anyway. But so yeah, there's 2 brand new front arms on that one from June till now.
Yeah, I think I've only broke once or twice outdoor.
Yeah.
Because one time I went to a jump, but we had a metal stake right after the jump. Full speed right into that.
Oh man.
I actually think I did it with my X-ray wheeler and then with my Associated Pro 4. The RTR short course.
Yep. Oh yeah.
What's actually funny is I think that was my second battery in the truck. Or usually the first or second battery. Like the first or second time I had it out.
Yeah.
I instantly hit it and ripped the front end off.
Oh man.
But I mean it was $20.
Yep.
I had all new arms and everything. Which the only bad part about the Associated is that each arm is different for each side.
Yeah.
So you have to spend
There's left and
$20
right.
for all 4, whereas like other brands like the X-Ray, it's either front or rear.
Yes.
Well, the rears are different side to side, but fronts are all the same.
Right.
Which is really nice.
Yeah. Yep. No, I know it. The left and right things kind of throws a curveball at things sometimes, but yeah.
Yeah, that was a nice conversation.
Good.
Learn history about it.
Heck yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of it, you know. After 30 years of it, man, there's boy, oh boy, oh boy. Rear motor to mid motor, from brush to brushless to...
Yeah, we haven't even got into belt driven either. Or even on road.
Yeah, double X4. The first wheeler was a low-C double X4. 2 belts.
So imagine they're pretty similar to on-road car. They're just a little different setup for suspension.
Yep. They were actually, because that was in the evolution of this, you know, our buggies and stadiums kept evolving, and then all of a sudden, mostly unveiled the double X4, the first 4-wheel drive buggy. And the guys from St. Ignace, they got them first, and they came to my track up the road here. And holy cow, in practice, we were just amazed at how fast. And then the gyro, they're all throwing whips, just going over a regular jump, it would whip itself, you know? Just kind of the way the belt drive made a gyro in that. And then once you learned it, it's like, holy cow. And then one of my buddies, Casey from St. Ignace, he let me race one on a heat. And I was like, oh my God, man, I could get really used to this. It was so fun. Then you go and run your stadium or buggy after that, it's like, it didn't go anywhere, you know. It's like, holy cow. But yeah, that was our first big change in RC was when the 4-wheel drive buggies came out, because there were no 2-wheel short course, there was no 4-wheel short course. That was all way after, you know. So
yeah, I remember when we were at the grass drags, for the mains I ran my Bandit.
Yep.
And then my Wheeler. So I went from my slowest class to the fastest. Well, second fastest.
Right, right.
But, you know, got a stock 12 turn to a 6.0.
Yeah.
Brushless.
Yeah.
You went from 10 miles an hour to 40 down straight.
Exactly. And make your check-in laps count. You know what I mean? So you get time to get used to it. Exactly. No. Now, what kind is your wheeler again?
It's an X-ray.
That is an X-ray.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
XB4.
Okay.
It's a 23 model, so it has the smaller shocks.
Okay.
Stuff like that. But
So the new ones have big bores on them? No. When you say smaller, what are they, 12s? It must be, because everybody's been 12 forever, and then 13s are the big bores, you know?
I think they went to a 14 and 24. I could be wrong. I'll have to look.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right, because that's what I was talking about earlier. If these are 13s, I want 14s, you know? Screw it, let's go 15s. I don't care if you got to make a spacer to keep the caps from hitting the shock tower. That don't matter to me.
Yeah.
As long as we get the shock to stand up straight, I'll space the bottom out too. Let's just big, you know?
Yeah.
Let's make these things go over bumps, you know?
Yeah.
We don't always have baby soft, baby smooth surfaces. We are off-road. We have bumps. You know, your track gets them a little bit because you run 8-scale, you know? There's bumps. I like bumps, you know? I mean, like I said, if you can get your truck to work here, it'll work anywhere. Honestly, with minimal change. Like I said, the only thing you're going to do here is raise up your right edge a little bit. 1 to 2 mils, just for when it does get bumpy, you can just boogie right on through them, you know? So,
Yeah, I suppose we should get track work, but...
it's 7 o'clock. I wonder if my boys are down there yet.
Yeah, that was a great conversation.
For sure. Glad to do it, buddy, for sure, man. No doubt about it. Oh, Lee's here. Oh boy, they are all down there. Holy cow, they invaded us. This is awesome. This is a track owner's dream right here.